Cameras, actions, lights. Let's go. What's up, everyone? I'm Reviews for Success, aka Jonathan Panda. It is currently Thursday, June 19th, 2025. We have one more day left of the market being open. We're currently on holiday. It's currently Juneteenth, so the market was closed, but we had a lot of news happen this week with war tension from Israel and Iran, and yesterday's Fed meeting caused some volatility in the market, specifically the S&P 500. Right now, I have the S&P 500 open up. Now, what's the big news right now? So right now, this conflict between Israel and Iran, followed by Iran's missile and drone retaliation, has caused oil prices to skyrocket 10 to 11%. So those are some good stocks to keep your money in, some good safe havens right now because right now they are going up. And yesterday we had a Fed meeting, and that caused a big move. As you all can see right here, this is the S&P 500. This is what happened yesterday. So it's currently Thursday, and the market was closed today. But yesterday, the S&P opened up. They formed two green candles in the beginning, and around 10, it started falling, and around that Fed meeting, around 2 p.m., things just fell. I mean, they had some big up. They had an up move. They went up to about 601, and they fell right back down. They formed a big red candle right here. So now, analysts warns that any U.S. entry into the conflict could spark a swift stock sell-off and cause crude prices to further jump, possibly 85 to 100%. That is crazy. I mean, $85 to $100 a barrel. That's what I meant to say. And RBC suggests that a broader escalation might trigger a 20% drop in the S&P 500, mainly by squeezing P and E ratios, which is basically a bear market. Guys, when a stock falls 20%, that's basically a bear market right there. And the S&P 500, a major ETF, the S&P 500, that's really the economy. That if it falls 20%, we'll go down in a bear market, and we don't want that to happen. Right now, I have the SPY open up on a 30-minute chart. Now, what are my predictions for tomorrow? So right now, it looks like SPY could potentially form a bear flag. As you all can see, if I look at it on the 1 hour chart, there's a big red candle, and if they fall, they could potentially fall to about right here. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit. So their next drop off could possibly be 593. So I'm going to predict that the SPY falls off to 593 tomorrow. If not, with the war tension, we don't know. We could wake up Monday morning and everything could be in the red because you know how they like to do things. Over the weekend, they like to push things up or down. So I'm going to predict the SPY falling down potentially to 593. And honestly, if the US joins, man, if anything bad or like anything super horrible happens, we could potentially fall down to like 573, guys. You guys see this gap right here? We still have this gap that we haven't filled up. So we could potentially fall down to about here. Look at that. That's 565, maybe 570s. Maybe 570s. Give me 1 second, guys. Somebody's calling me right in the middle of the stream. So the next stock that I have up is Celsius, CEHL. So what do I see Celsius doing? So Celsius, they had a pretty positive day. I mean, a pretty positive week. So I believe this is Monday. Actually, this is Friday. From Friday up until Monday, they jumped up from $40 to 44, and they look like they're forming a bull flag. Look at that. And honestly, they could potentially form a bull flag between now and next week. So look at that. This is where I see them going up. And as you all can see, I formed two parallel lines right here to show the trend that they were forming. They kind of fell off a little bit right here. They started falling off on the 12th, but they're still on that upward trajectory. They're still above that 200 EMA. This blue line is a 200 EMA. I'm going to zoom in a little bit for y'all so y'all can see that much better. So right here, as you all can see, they're still above the 200 EMA. And I see them going to about 46, 45 if this bull flag does form. So they're still on that upward trajectory. Next, Google. Google had a rough day. Google could potentially fall again between now and next week, and I wouldn't be surprised. Look at this red pattern right here, this staggering pattern, and then they could potentially fall. I drew this trend line because I feel like that's where they may fall tomorrow or next week. So they could potentially fall to 171. Right now they're at 173 at the time of this recording. And remember, markets were closed. QUBT on the other hand, they had a crazy week. Actually, they've had a crazy past 2 weeks. They were just at $11, guys. Right when Tesla had that big sell-off, this was like nearly almost a week ago. They were just at $11. Look at that, 11, and they shot up to about 21. Man, that's crazy on Monday. And now they're at 19. This is still pretty good. Although they fell, this is still pretty good. Not pretty good. This is really good. So, you know, QBT may potentially fall. They look like they're trying to form a red, a bear flag again. And I'm really good at spotting out the bull and bear flags. So I'm going to predict QBT falling potentially to 17, which isn't bad, which is still good for $11, guys. So that's my prediction for QBT tomorrow to next week. Apple, on the other hand, Apple, they had a they had a showcase. They were showcasing their products last week, and as they were doing that, they were falling. Surprisingly, their newest iPhone layout has been released. Actually, has been shown to the public, and I don't know if the phones are out. But Apple's one of those companies that has a great product, but they keep inflating the prices, and now consumers are getting sick of it. They do it for a reason. They want people to continue buying their phones, but they got to upgrade something. They got to do something or add some new service or start rewarding their clients because I mean their customers because that's where they're lacking. I've had my first phone was a Samsung, and then after that I've had straight iPhones since then. But for the most part, Apple doesn't seem to be forming a pattern. If anything, I see them touching this EMA again because they've had a lot of red days. If anything, I see them touching this EMA and then falling off next week again. Honestly, that's what I'm going to predict for Apple. GME, on the other hand, man, they had a lot of red days lately. Look at this bear flag that they formed. Boom, and look at this. Whoo! Look at this again. And look, I drew these two trend lines because it seems like they're forming a, a rising wedge. And honestly, if they fall again, I don't know if you guys know, but rising wedges they form bear days. A potential big red candle may just form again. So that's what rising wedges do. I have it lit up right here, so I'm gonna open up a rising wedge so that way you guys can see. This is Google. Look at that. This is a rising wedge. So it rises and then it falls. This is another good example, as you all can see right here. You'll see the two lines, and then it just falls. So that's what GME looks like it could be doing. SoFi, man, SoFi did numbers yesterday. Boy, oh boy, they went from 14 low, 14.3 to 15.4, man. That's crazy. And honestly, what could SoFi do? Look, I drew these trend lines because that's the trajectory that they're moving from. Starting from May 29th, it's currently June. We're more than halfway done with June. So SoFi could potentially trail again, touch this trend line, and then go up and touch this line again to $16. I'm going to predict SoFi rising up if nothing bad really happens. So SoFi could trail and then go up. All right, Hood. This is another company that did well Wednesday. And last week, they were supposed to be added to the S&P 500, but they weren't. So they had a big fall, but they still kept going up. I drew this trend line that started on June 9th, last Monday, and they've been following it so far. This is a $10 difference. Honestly, they could potentially fall again tomorrow, between now and tomorrow. And if not, if they continue going, they could just like trail slowly, come up, touch. But I see Robinhood staying stagnant, but rising with this trend. So I see them falling in the morning, or if not, as the day goes on, they're going to slowly fall. Palantir, man, whoo, they had a crazy day. I mean, a crazy week. Look at this. From 18 to, what is this, 43, guys, in a matter of 2 weeks. That is crazy, guys. That is ridiculous. Crazy numbers. Now, Palantir could potentially fall. So it looks like they're forming a bear flag right here. So from Tuesday, they fell, they rose back up Wednesday. They're at 139 right now. And honestly, they could fall, touch this EMA at 133 tomorrow between now and Wednesday or maybe next week. We never know. But that's my prediction. I'll see them falling. But even if they do fall, they're still up by a lot. Guys, look at this from 118 to oh my gosh, 140. Guys, I saw Palantir when it was at 20 something dollars. I remember when I was debating what is it gonna reach 30. I remember when I was trying to figure out if it's gonna reach 30. I remember like it was yesterday. I remember when 30 was like a huge milestone for Palantir. Now, if this stock goes back down to 30, man, you better put all your money in there. I'm just saying. I'm playing. I'm playing. Don't do what I say. This is just my prediction. All right, next we got Hims. They also had a crazy day. They had a volatile day. So they opened up in the green on Wednesday, and then they fell, and then they slowly rose back up. And midway through the day, they got up to what 60? Okay, in the morning they got up to 62.6, 62.4, and then the highest they went up was to midway was 62.1. Tomorrow they could form a bull flag. Look at this right here. Look at that. This could be a potential bull flag. All right, last but not least, IonQ. IonQ, they could potentially be forming another bull flag. Look at this. This could be a potential bull flag. They started at 37 on Wednesday morning, and they closed off around 39. That's a $2 move. That's a lot. They had a good day. They could potentially close off at 40 on Friday. And if I zoom out, they've had some interesting patterns, some double tops. Look at this. Triple tops. Look at this. This is a triple top. Look at this. 1, 2, 3. I marked it out. And they did it, almost did it again right here. 1, 2. Man, like they're crazy patterns right there. But so far, those are my predictions right now. And the major thing right now is this war. That's what's moving the markets, causing oil prices to skyrocket. And yesterday's Fed meeting was a hawkish undertone from Jerome Powell. Powell emphasized risks from tariffs, stronger core inflation, and geopolitical pressures underpinning a cautious stance. So that was more of a hawkish day, and the market really didn't move. I'm gonna open up the S&P. So it looks like they had a pretty solid day. Honestly, look at this. If I zoom in on how the SPY played out throughout the day on Wednesday, you can see they opened up around 58.9 and they closed like in around that 57 range, which is not that bad. Actually, it's not that bad, although they closed in the red. Look at this, 0.09. They closed out 0.09 on a day. So that was a pretty solid day for the S&P 500. Not a big move, but throughout that meeting, there was a lot of volatility and in the morning. So the main thing you should really look out for is these oil prices. They're rising like crazy. And it seems like Fed Powell and Donald Trump can come to a consensus. So those two guys, man, they've been going at it. Specifically, Trump been talking down on Fed Powell, and they can't seem to work together, which is unfortunate, but that's life. So yeah. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm Reviews for Success, aka Jonathan Panda. I would appreciate it if you guys give this video a like, follow my account, subscribe, leave your feedbacks down below. Come back, tune in for another video like this, and I'll see you all on Sunday. Sunday is going to be my next video. I love doing these analysis, and it also keeps me updated on what's going on. But y'all take care, be smart out here, and do your research. All right, see y'all soon.